I wonder how you have got on since reaching home. As far as I could fathom from your letter, you got more and more shy as you got nearer home. Have you started to be student movementish yet, or have you been able to avoid being intense? Please don't think it irreligious to be natural and yourself. If you will remember, I told you that your attitude to your people would be changed, and that they would not consider that you had changed for the better. Ultimately, you will require to break through to freedom.
After the exuberance of Paris, Mary felt hemmed in by straight-laced Toronto. Though she wanted meaningful work, Mary also knew that a woman of her age and standing was supposed to marry, and marry well. Experts were always ready to offer a word of advice. According to the new psychology and sexology, marriage was a psychological as well as a social necessity for women. Feminist sex reformer Stella Brown wrote,
I would say that after 25 years of age, the woman who has neither husband nor lover is suffering mentally and bodily, often without knowing why she suffers. Nervous, irritated, anemic, always tired, or ruthlessly and feverishly fussing over trifles.
Harry Jackman, a long-time acquaintance, suddenly began to loom large in Mary's life.
Dear Harry, I do hope you don't mind my being frank. I can't help it. I feel sure we'd be better friends and enjoy each other's company more if we didn't see each other quite so often.
Intrigued by her hesitation, Harry pursued Mary, full of longing and hopes for what he called the conquest.
Dear Mary, you were perhaps more right than I cared to admit when you felt that cold reason had directed my course. But I cannot now regain my former independence of feeling, nor do I wish to. I am writing you, Mary, to say that I love you with all my heart, and that if I could only make you happy, I would be the happiest man in the world.
Dear Mum, it's time I got safely out of the market, I think. My summer seems to have been shot through by my indecisions of mind and heart. Today I can't think of anything else but marrying Harry. Other days it's different. Mum, dear, I do love you and want you to share my happiness because I owe everything to you.
That summer, Newton went to London where he successfully argued the Landmark Persons case. This case established Canadian women's legal right to play a role in public life and to sit in the Senate. He took the time to pour out his misgivings about Harry in a letter to his wife.
Dearest Nell, I would not be surprised if she became engaged. I wish we knew him better, and knew more of his ideals and his abilities. Mary is a fine girl, and she deserves a fine husband.
Mary came from a very distinguished family, where her father, Newton Rowell, was a remarkable man, well respected. Harry came from a very simple family.
His father had gone to work at 14 and had become manager of what would now be Chubb Safe Company, and had moved from Mill and Cherry Streets up to North Rosedale in his own lifetime, which was a considerable accomplishment.
As for her father's father, I've not heard very much good about him at all. He was a bully, beat up children, and from some of my uncles who had to live in his house for periods of time in their youth, no, they were not very happy experiences.
Even after their engagement was announced, Mary was still racked by indecision. Could it be that Mary could not find her own independent identity, and that marriage provided a role that was expected and acceptable? Perhaps she sought a relief from the pressures of her parents and her community. Finally, she succumbed. With her marriage just a few months away, Mary felt so uneasy that she sought Hadfield's advice.
It would be fatal to marry before there was a proper development of this realization in Harry of that protective side of love toward you. You would be far better to avoid a catastrophe altogether by not marrying than to plunge into a life of unhappiness with someone whose ideals are very different from one's own. Having different ideals does not itself matter if there is deep love, for there is a mutual exchange to the enrichment of both. But different ideals without love is hopeless.
This period marked a turning point in Mary's life. Her intuition about what was right for her and the strong social expectations of the time were all at war with one another. On the eve of Mary's wedding, her parents gave her a grand piano and $25,000. Her mother added Virginia Woolf's newest book, A Room of One's Own. For Woolf, financial independence was crucial for women's freedom and integrity.
What a forward-thinking mother to give a daughter a book suggesting that every woman needed a room of her own and a workroom of her own, suggesting that there was great validity in a woman having her own life, her own occupation, her own profession. I thought it was a stunning gift.
That a mother of her period would choose that particular book, because Virginia Woolf's books are not light reading, but they're rich with possibilities.
Could Nell's gift have been prompted by a sense of foreboding that her cherished daughter had entered into a deeply ambivalent marriage?
She told me that when they came back from their honeymoon, they were going to go to a big ball or some fancy dinner, and that she went and got herself beautifully made up and a gown, and she said she walked down the stairs feeling absolutely beautiful. And Harry was there in black tie waiting for her. And when she arrived beside him, he said, "Mary, how do I look?" And she said, I was so outraged that he didn't say, "Mary, you look beautiful," that I kicked him really hard in the shin and that he would never, ever do that again. I assume what drew Harry to Mary was the fact she was an intelligent woman from a very good family and had very strong values, which he valued. What drew Mary to Harry? I don't know, because they were very incompatible, and I could see why she was not a trophy wife, but she was a woman that he could be proud of. And I think, reading his diaries, he was proud of her. He was ambitious. He wanted money. He wanted to make a lot of money, which is fine, and most women have no problem with that. But she did. She had deep religious problems. He was not into religion like she was. I think she would have been happier with a more intellectual person.
Did they have different values with respect to money?
Well, I think Father was perhaps more obsessed with earning enough and making sure that we all had enough, which today we're all the beneficiaries of, I might say. I have enough. I don't spend too much. I have enough. And Mother was less concerned with money.
Her father had been a lawyer and her mother a school teacher. And to make money off the stock market was not something she always considered to be legitimate work. This was not work like thinking about a legal case or planning a lesson plan. And I remember fights at the dining room table about Father's profiteering from what she would describe as unearned income. My father probably had much less self-esteem than my mother did. And he used the creation of wealth as a way to make himself be okay in society.
Whereas Father always had these social ambitions, wanted to rise higher and higher, which is partly why I think he married her. He put up with Metropolitan United Church and its sort of lower class surroundings, deference to mother's wish, but it's not what he wanted. Socially, he thought the Anglican Church would have been far more advantageous for the family than going to the Methodist or United Church. He wanted the family to go up, hence private schools, and money, you have to earn money to advance. Unfortunately, he didn't have the personality to go with it.
He could be very pleasant, a very pleasant host, and at other times he'd ignore you without, well, who are you? But there was, that isn't the point. The point is he didn't seem to have that understanding of how rich life could be.
Outside of money.
Yeah, well, that's what life, money is the servant. Yeah. And to him, I would guess it was not the servant, it was the controlling. If you had money, you were ergo okay.
By convention, women of Mary's social class didn't work after marriage. Nonetheless, she insisted on providing unpaid leadership to the SCM. She also tried to explain to Harry the reasons for her commitment.
I must live up to the ideal of the brotherhood of man between all people and classes. But I do hope someday you may come to appreciate the sterling values in people who give their lives to a cause with no self-profit. I should love to think that you could really enjoy these addresses and discussions and help them with your ideas, instead of feeling, as I now think you do, that they are all hopeless idealists who couldn't make their way in the world. I feel a stranger to you in all my own self, and yet why is that necessary? Darling, life and marriage were made for companionship, and we must try further, or give up the effort and not spoil each other's lives.
During the Depression years, Harry's business interests benefited from his shrewd investments, but Mary's social concerns were heightened by the hardships she saw around her. As the gulf in their values widened, Mary's sense of isolation deepened.